For 125 years, Farmers Bank of Northern Missouri has proudly served as your locally owned community bank. From convenient online banking and our easy-to-use mobile app, we're here to meet all of your financial needs. With 10 locations across northern Missouri and southern Iowa, you'll always find trusted service close to home. Farmers Bank of Northern Missouri, locally owned, locally trusted, banking Bethany can count on. Learn more at onlinefarmersbank.com. Member FDIC.
Remember when filling up your car meant more than just pumping gas? At Bethany Fuel Depot, we're bringing that service back. We'll fill your tank, clean your windshield, and send you on your way with a smile, just like the good old days. Inside, you'll find a general store with vintage candy, nostalgic treats, and unique gifts. We're open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., with pumps available 24/7. Find us across from Petty John's, Bethany Fuel Depot, full service and full of charm.
All right, CF Rainey here again on one of our Sports Central interviews sponsored by Harrison County Community Hospital. Excited to be joined by a member of the South Harrison volleyball coaching staff. Assistant coach Jess Estes is joining us. And so, Jess, we were talking just a little before we started recording just about the history of the volleyball program here at South Harrison. It's not very old compared to a number of the other sports. But before we get into that, maybe just kind of introduce yourself a little to maybe some members of the community, you and your husband, Dr. Estes. He came in as superintendent. Actually, we have the benefit, Nicole and I, of being kind of neighbors. You all live down the road right now from us, and so we've got to know your family and your daughter who plays volleyball as well as basketball with my daughter last year and track. So maybe just kind of introduce yourself and maybe some of your background with volleyball.
Yeah. So like you said, this is our second year in Bethany, South Harrison. Michael and I both grew up small town and had lived in the city, KC, for the last 10 years. So when the opportunity came up to be able to move back to a small community, we jumped on it. We really missed that feel of having the sense of community. So really excited about that. I have played volleyball when I was in middle school and high school, did not go on to play in college. But my daughter, Ella, has been in the volleyball world for a while. She started playing at an early age, kindergarten, and we just kind of started out with rec ball. I coached her team for several years, and then she really wanted something more competitive, so we joined the club volleyball world. And she's been doing that since she was in third grade. And so have learned a lot about the rules of volleyball and the volleyball game. It's changed. I'm not going to date myself how long I've been out of playing volleyball, but it's definitely changed since I played. So learned a lot that way. So as we came to South Harrison, had met Lisa and said, she really would love to, pick my brain on knowledge and just help her. And I said, if you have, would like for me to join, I would love to. So I just volunteered, coached last year with her. Just really got to know the girls, and it was a good combination. She's a great coach, so loved to spend my time with her and learn from her as well.
And so that's head coach Lisa Cannon, who I approached her, and she's like, I don't want to do this. She goes, talk to Jess. And so we appreciate you coming on. So last year, you talked about with Ella playing volleyball. And I'm kind of doing the math in my head as you're talking. She's been playing volleyball longer than South Harrison's had a volleyball program. And so you look at that, and if you look at the records for South Harrison early on, they played a JV schedule. I think that first year didn't win a game. And then they had some years where they really struggled. I think their first double-digit win season was 2022. And so you've seen it with Ella, Jess, just the progression in that. And so at South Harrison, and I know you've seen it here in the 2 years you've been here, the fact that a lot of girls aren't playing volleyball till they get to that middle school age. And so it's just a lot of teaching the game in those first few years.
Yeah, it is. And that's, where we really this summer really wanted to start early in the season with our freshman class coming in, because there's just fundamentals that you have to teach before you can get into the more complex strategies of volleyball. So that I think that puts us at a disadvantage when we play teams that do have club players or girls that have been around it for a while. So have a big freshman class this year, 13 girls out, which is awesome, just because, like you said, softball really rules Northwest Missouri. So these girls are just not getting the exposure that other girls in the area or closer to the city are. So to have that amount of girls come out as in a freshman class has been fun, but they've been really little sponges. Like, to see how much they've progressed from when we started with them the 1st of July till now, their knowledge of the game, how they're performing. All of our JV is freshmen except for one girl. And so to see them competing with other teams that have sophomores, juniors, girls with some experience, and maybe our win-loss record isn't showing on our JV, but if you could look how close the matches are and what they're doing, that's exciting, because we're like, okay, we're growing a program and we're going to start seeing more success from that.
And so last season, your first season, Ella's first season at South Harrison, you guys as a team go 11-11-1, but win the first district game, first postseason game in South Harrison volleyball history. And so a number of seniors were on that team, girls that have been playing since middle school age. So you lose those, and you mentioned you guys are a much younger team this year, as far as a lot of freshmen on the team with kind of a smattering of a few upperclassmen.
Yeah. So last year was definitely a record year. Won our first district game in the school history, but we also won our first tournament, which we actually have this coming up weekend is the same tournament. So hoping to be able to bring home that championship again. But we've really asked our girls this year to step up and maybe play positions that they haven't played JV in freshman years when they were in the lower classes. And so, for example, Piper Carver, she had been a setter for our team for the last 3 years, this is her 3rd year. So the previous 2 years. But she's a really good passer. So we asked her to move into the libero position and really be that workhorse in the back for us. And she's done an excellent job. Another one was Ava Shields. She had didn't really want to play front row and hit. Towards the end of last year, I talked to Lisa into like, hey, let's move her to middle. And she's tall. She can block and she can hit for us. She reluctantly went, but she's making huge strides this year, really getting some good blocks in and hits, challenging her to run some different offenses and really working on set selection as a setter. And so her game is coming around too. So really trying to look at the players that we have and what positions that they would best help the team and transitioning them. And the girls have been really open to that. We've been moving girls around and just trying to, and it can go from game to game too, of who we're playing, what position we need them to play in.
Okay, so you're going through those, and I've tried to school myself a little bit as I've broadcast the very first game. You guys had a great win versus Penny, and then going to be out tomorrow night at the game. So you mentioned libero, you mentioned setter, right? I think anyone, if you grew up in gym class, you're like, okay, I know what a set is. A bump. You understand some basics. But the first time you go to a volleyball game, and I remember going years ago, and I'm like, did that girl forget her jersey because it's different color than everyone else on the team? So maybe just explain that to some of the people watching, what some of those different positions are and what they mean as far as in the game and strategy.
Yeah, so the libero is kind of your passing specialist. It's someone that you want on your back row the entire game because they're digging balls when they're getting hit at us, really good at serve receive. And so they wear a special jersey so that they are easily recognizable by the officials. And you have a sub limit. So you can't sub as many times as you want. You can only sub girls in 18 times. So, but the libero allows you to sub them in without hitting that count. They can freely sub and they can sub for anyone. A lot of people don't know with subbing is if once you've subbed in for someone, you can't sub in for somebody else. You're stuck with subbing in for that person. So if I have Eris and JC subbing in for each other, one's playing front row, one's playing back row, I can't then have JC sub in for Jayton. That's just the rule of volleyball. So the nice thing with the libero is you don't have those limitations. And so we will put her in a spot where if we're having hit cross court where she's on our left back, so she's there to get those passes up. So very interesting on the libero. She's not allowed to contact the ball above the 10-foot line. That's kind of where our hitters reside, where they're wanting to hit at. She has to be behind that. Our setting position, you can run different offenses. You can run a 5-1, which means you have one setter and they play both front row and back row setting. Or you can run a 6-2 setting offense where you have two setters, and that's what we're doing. We have Ava and Ella both playing setting for us. So when Ava's on the back row, she's setting, so she's moving to the front row, setting the ball up. So we have three hitters across the front being offensive attackers. And then vice versa. When Ella's in the back, she's setting, and we have three attackers, and Ava's playing front row, hitting then. So different things you can do. A lot of people don't understand the complexity of volleyball. They're like, oh, they just pass it, set it, and hit it out there. But there are different offenses you can run, different defenses you can run. Ella was actually talking to a classmate this weekend, and he was like, it looks so simple, but when you talk about it, there's so much more to it. So,
well, and it's one of those, if you've ever watched it, and I enjoy it during the Olympics, or even every once in a while on television watching college volleyball, either men's or women's. Just and again, you see things going on that you don't see playing rec league softball or rec league volleyball or something like that, or in a gym class, and so. You explain it that way. The scoring, again, I grew up, I played tennis too when I was a kid. That was something we played a lot. A lot of people don't understand tennis scoring. Just the scoring, if someone comes out, and tomorrow night would be a great night for people to come out. I know softball is on the road all the way over in Unionville, so a lot of people won't be able to get out of town, make that. And so the other great thing I enjoy about volleyball, it is temperature controlled. I'm not out in the heat or the dirt on all my equipment and everything. I'll be in the gym with great internet and everything else. But maybe talk about the scoring and how that is scored within a volleyball match.
Yeah, so it depends on if you're at the varsity or JV level. Varsity plays the best of 5 in regular matches. So we do score the first 4 sets to 25, and it's called rally scoring. So you serve or not serve, you get a point. So in the old days when I played, you only could get a point when you actually serve. That's not how it is now. It's rally scoring to 25. You have to win by 2. And then if you do go to that 5th set, then you only play to 15. Again, that's only for varsity matches. Our JV plays the best of 3 sets, and they play all 3 sets to 25. So a little different depending on what level you're playing. A lot of our tournaments, just to keep the day shorter, they have what they call pool play, and you play just 2 sets, and it's, whoever scores the most out of those 2 wins. And then once you get into bracket play, then it's the best out of 3. You never play best out of 5 in tournaments. It just would take too long.
Okay. And so tomorrow night, you all get Trenton. You've played them earlier in the year, and I was looking back at that score. I think that one, did it go 5 when you played Trenton earlier?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Trenton is a fun one. Last year, the 2 times we played them during the season, we went to 5. I had talked to Lisa years prior before I was here. She said that's kind of tradition. They go to 5 with them. And so then our first matchup with them was at Trenton a couple weeks ago, and it went to 5 as well. We kind of anticipated that just based on the history. It's always a fun. We're very closely matched, and so there's a lot of will to win there. So both teams are really playing their heart out. I felt like we played them really well. We had come off a tough loss prior that week. And so I just told the girls that they have to dig deep to get this win. We really strategized based on what players that we knew were coming back. And the girls just did a really good job executing. So I'm looking forward to playing them again at home. Tomorrow we're hoping for a big crowd because that always gets the gym exciting, and the girls want to, get a win for their home crowd. And we worked a lot tonight on our offensive attack. They have really strong, tall blockers. And so running an offense that we can get outside of that block so we can get some points on our offensive attack.
Okay. And so we'll be there tomorrow night, Bulldog Sports TV. We want everyone to show up in person. But if you can't make it, they can watch us. And then we'll also be, I think it's senior night versus North Nottoway that next Monday. We'll be out there to broadcast. Coach Jess Estes, we appreciate you spending some time with us here on one of our Sports Central interviews. Again, big thank you to Harrison County Community Hospital for sponsoring it. If you can't get out and watch the team play, you can catch it on Bulldog Sports TV. It's also, we have a lot of parents that have told me with football or softball, they'll go back and watch it the next day or something. So you can still catch it online if you can't be there in person. So, Jess, I appreciate your time, and we look forward to being out there tomorrow night.
Of course, and it's Pink Out for cancer awareness, so wear your pink. We all have new shirts to wear tomorrow, so we're excited for that as well.
All right, thanks again.